Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. You've got a story to share, a message to inspire, and a passion ready to ignite. But where do you start? The world is waiting for your voice. With From Idea to Implementation, Start Your Own Podcast, you'll get the roadmap to turn your vision into reality. This isn't just a course, it's your launching pad. Step by step, we'll break down the process from defining your purpose to recording your first episode so you can finally share your voice with confidence. Stop overthinking it and start doing it. Your voice has the power to connect and lead. Are you ready to use it? Join the waitlist today. Your podcast journey starts now. The world is waiting. You can find the link to sign up for the waitlist in the show notes. We'll see you soon. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Afarin Bellisario. She is an author, a teacher, a mentor, a consultant, and an engineer. Welcome, Afarin. How are you today?
I am fine. Thank you so much. It's very cold in Boston, but it's fine.
It's very cold here in Toronto, too, so I feel your pain. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm excited about jumping in and sharing all about the beautiful light you put out into the world through all the work you do, as well as share a little bit about your story and your journey. So welcome. And with that being said, I shall jump right in. That is a hell of a lot of hats that you wear. How do you find the time for all that you do, and how do you prioritize, and how important is prioritization and organization for you?
I think that you got to have, one thing I learned in my life is that you got to have one focus at a time. So something that you're really passionate about, and spend the time and energy in it. And then once you want to switch, you got to switch all the way. You can't do two things at the same time. So for example, if I have mentoring session coming, for me, mentoring session is now more of an automatic thing.
Right.
I don't need to prepare for it. But if I have to prepare for a lecture or something like that, I just have to say, okay, between 8 and 10, I'm not going to write. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to do this one thing. Get it done, and then I move on. Of course, the writing is always in the back of my mind. I keep a little pad to just one thing, because I'm sitting watching TV and I think of something and I have to jot it down. But besides that, it's you just have to basically completely. For me, I have to completely, and I have reduced my consulting now that I'm trying to write full time.
Beautiful. So what is it that drives, motivates, and inspires you to keep going and excelling at all that you do?
My passion. I just think I have something to say. I think there's a lot of things in the book that I talk about, and in my newsletters and other things that I talk about, especially the story of Iranian women and their long journey and into today. So there's a reason I'm here. I don't know the reason, but maybe the reason is to be the voice of those who don't have a voice.
Yeah. Now, you say that you are a bridge between East and West, past and future. I love that. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why you call yourself a bridge?
Yeah, so for most people, they think that there's a divide. This is all technology. This is all human soft stuff, soft skills, if you will, writing and culture and things like that. That's not the case. Everything is, human mind is an amazing machine. And it's actually one thing always nurtures the other. Your logic, if you use your logic in math, why not use the logic in writing too? So that's part of being the bridge between the technology and human condition. And between East and West, I'm a natural bridge. I was born and raised in Iran. I spent a lot of time there, but then I moved to the United States, and all of my professional career, it has been in the United States. I understand both cultures. So a bridge is something that I'm an engineer. So bridge connects 2 points. A, it facilitates the transfer of ideas, the transmission of ideas. One of the things I did during the writing of the book was trying to translate some of the poetry, Iranian poetry, to English. And the translation is very difficult. So you really have to be more than just a translator. Google Translate doesn't do it. You have to understand the concepts, what's behind it, and come up with the best representation of the original intent. So I think that in that case, I'm in a good position to be that bridge. And I like to be that bridge because what we need in this world is
Absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Many silos, people not want to talk to their neighbors or their friends or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. We do need bridges 100%. Like you said, takes us from A to B. I love that analogy. I think it's powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
How has your personal journey influenced your approach to consulting, teaching, and mentoring?
One of the things that age brings you is being humble. I approach teaching and mentoring and also writing as sharing. I share my experiences. When I work with my students or with my mentees, I ask them questions. They come up with their own answers. Why are you doing this versus anything else in the world? And then I can try, because of the experience and whatever I have learned, is to make them find their own journey. It's not, to me, it is of no value if I tell them how to solve this. And in the consulting world, they always look at you as the figure of authority, but you always have to also explain yourself. One of the things that I have done a few times, not that many, is to work as a intellectual property consultant for attorneys. And they know nothing about the technology. So I'm talking about why this patent is infringing upon other ones or whatever. And then that makes me think, okay, I'm going to make it simple. This person has not taken a physics course or a math course since, I don't know, it's a mucky muck from whatever law firm. So I try to simplify that. And in the process, I learn a lot.
Right.
I always look at the process as a shared learning rather than me telling people what to do or not to do, whatever.
Yeah. And so what drives you to mentor and guide others? And how does it feel to see your clients and students succeed for you?
It's as a consultant, you have to there's a big difference. That in consulting world, when I first started doing consulting, it was a long time ago, and I've done consulting as an individual, as part of a bigger firm and whatever. You have the fact that a lot of clients don't listen to you at all and just take your report and put it on the shelf or use them in whatever internal politics they like to do. You have to learn to say, okay, thank you so much. Okay, give me my money and I go. But when it actually happens, I did a project for U.S. Navy many moons ago. And then eventually I saw that coming to fruition in some good ways. Not a weapon way, not the bad ways, but the good ways to save lives and to be useful. It made me very happy that even though nobody sent me a check or a medal or whatever, but just as mentees, it's different than students because they respond. And you can see the success of the startup when they go in and collect, I don't know, $1 billion valuation or whatever. It makes me happy. So, because I have been part of their success. And more than just money, it's a lot of them are idealists, believe it or not. Not everybody goes out there and says, I want to go for an IPO. It's very interesting because a lot of them do go for an IPO and make a lot of money. But in the areas that I am in, which is kind of hard sciences, hard technology, many of them actually come up with something that improves lives.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. It makes me always happy to do that. And many of them have been gracious enough to send me a note or, hey, thank you.
And that's beautiful to get that acknowledgement and that they appreciate you helping them on their journey. That's so powerful.
Yes, it is. It really is. And I like to work with young people. I think that we, as more mature people, we don't appreciate their struggles and we don't appreciate their contribution and creativity. So
yeah,
I do like to work with them as well.
As an author, what role does storytelling play in your work, and how has it helped you connect with your audience?
I always have been storyteller. I told stories to myself when I was a kid, and and it's actually, I wrote about that, but I took some of the stories that my grandmothers told me when nobody was around to tell it to myself. I'm changing the way I want it. And if I go to, I grew up without sibling as an only child. So I had a lot of cousins and things, but I like to tell the stories. But I always liked, when I worked for big firms, Intel, Analog Devices, I worked a lot of times in the business development, marketing positions, business positions. So it's always much better to tell people's story. Back in then, we used to call it vaporware. So I would go to a customer and say, oh, this is what the technology will do. This is like long before smartphones, but I would make up a mock-up of whatever my vision was of a smartphone and tell them how good it is. And now I feel that dream is reality.
Yeah.
That reality is doing some nasty stuff to all of us, but that's the way of the technology.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. There's always good and bad. There's good on both, good and bad on each side. So you just have to be self-aware and not fall onto the bad side of things. How do you balance being a consultant, a teacher, a mentor, and all the hats you wear, along with the creative process of writing?
As I said, I always wanted to write. I started writing, I don't know, when I was like 10 or 12. I sold my first story to my aunt when I was 7. So I always wanted to write. And one of the reasons that I didn't write is that when I was working in the high tech, I was a young mother back then. I had young children. There was no time. So it's a myth to say that you're going to go to your hotel room at 2 a.m. in the morning and write a story, because you don't. Your mind is into whatever flow of the technology is, whatever the work was. But in 2016, I had an opportunity to work part-time for a consulting firm and actually make more money than my full-time job. And I kind of took that right away because it was a great thing. It was wonderful. So first time in my life, I could devote some solid time to writing. So for me, I don't have hobbies. I don't dabble. If I write, I like to be serious about it. I get a teacher, get a mentor, get an editor.
Fully committed, like 100% committed.
Correct.
Yeah.
I sort of consulting. I can get a lot more consulting, but the other thing that comes as you get older, you look at your life and see, okay, what is it that I really want? Do I really need another pair of, I don't know, Mucky Muck boots, or do I need another, I don't know, whatever? And you say no, but I'd rather have a book. I'd rather have written and talked to people and communicated. And
yeah, for sure. So, forging connections. That's the most important, one of the most important things.
Absolutely. It's fantastic to meet readers and to meet, and I love that. And as I said, it's a matter of priority. You can't do it all. That's
for sure.
So one thing has to be your main concern. I do mentoring and I do work with the students and I do give workshops, but those are not my main activity right now.
Yeah. What would you say has been the most unexpected impact of becoming an author on your career and your personal life?
It was on my personal life it's very interesting. I heard from a cousin that I haven't seen for 40 years. Coming from Iran as I was, everybody's all over the world. It was so gratifying to hear from friends that I haven't heard from, relatives that I haven't heard from, but also strangers who kind of come to me and say, oh, wow, we read this book. And the sales number, I feel better when I look at Cambridge Library and I see that there's a long list of people who want to read this book. So very gratifying because, not everybody can afford or want to spend the money to buy a book. And I understand that. But what I want is for them to be able to read it. And that's so
Beautiful.
well,
What excites and inspires you the most about writing and being an author?
what excites me is telling the stories, making it all up, making it all up. These are my creation. Although not always. They have to do something that's organic to them. I like to write what I want to read. So that's very exciting to me. But also definitely the opportunity to talk to people, both
Yeah.
through the book itself and also through programs like yourself, like yours. And there's a lot of people that I can talk about what I'm passionate about and about Iran and about how we are all the same and
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
and things like that.
So on the flip side of that, what, in your opinion, is one of the most challenging parts of being an author?
Oh, this is interesting because the most challenging part is editing. That is forever. I wrote the first version of my book in about 8 months, 9 months. And that included a lot of research. And I'm passionate about getting the story, the history, even if it's a work of fiction. That was kind of fun. I love to do research. That's the kind of thing that I am passionate about. But
Yeah.
writing the story was no big deal. But revising and revising and revising. And I have this editor, which I love, and she's a wonderful person. But I told her, don't be gentle with me. So she
Be careful what you wish for.
yes, I'm really grateful with that because my writing has improved and I love that. And I don't remember the name, but there's somebody who talks about 10,000 hours of
Yes.
spending on something. I think I'm getting close to that. I should become an expert soon.
There you go.
Yeah.
How do you deal with creative blocks when they come up? And what have you found helps you through those the most?
Oh, you get a lot of creative blocks, but you just got to work through it. You just got to sit there and write garbage and then throw away the garbage. But sometimes it's beautiful garbage, but it doesn't go. And that's one of the things that my mentor / editors tell me. Oh, you wrote this 1,000 words, beautiful prose, beautiful everything, but it doesn't make the story go ahead. It doesn't do anything for the story or the character or whatever. So you throw it away.
Right.
But writing, you just got the kids. When my kids were young, they're both very talented in math. So what we did was that when we were driving far away, one of the things as you learn as a professional mother is that you gotta take the time. You gotta multitask, which is I don't like to multitask, but I go shopping. I used to go food shopping with kids because that was the time we could spend together. We can go to lunch afterwards, whatever. And then in the car, kids don't like to be in the car. And so we would play math problems. What is 2 + 2? And then it becomes what is 2 × 2 and that kind of thing. So it's sort of like it's a rot kind of thing. It doesn't give them anything to solve or whatever, but it takes the time. So sometimes what you have to do with the writing is write and don't think about it being beautiful or great.
Right. Just get it out onto paper.
Just get it out on the paper or on a computer, and then that's how you become, your mind somehow starts thinking about things, and then things become easier.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. What do you know now that you wish you had known when you first started out writing?
What do I know now? I don't know. That it will be gratifying at the end of the day when you look at your product and you're proud of it. And I think as writers, we all go through periods of depression, self-loathing. I would never write another word ever in my life kind of thing. But sometimes when I think about it now, as we pointed it out, it's very gratifying when I meet people who have read the book or reading the book and appreciate it. I met this young lady from India. She's an American Indian. And she told me, oh, everything that you wrote in this book is very similar to my culture. I found myself rooting for the characters and they're so familiar to me. So that's very gratifying to me. I write it. I talked about the culture in Iran and lived into the story, obviously, but it's gratifying. So if I had known from the beginning that I would be gratified, I would have been happier. I don't know.
As a creative,
Yes.
do you think that we are all born with an innate creativity within us? This is something I often wonder and think about. And I love asking people about this and hearing different creatives' thoughts and opinions on this. Like when it comes to artists, athletes, musicians, etc., are people just born, you think, with a natural ability, or is it something like you've got those particular athletes and musicians who are just exemplary? Like
Sure.
it's almost like they came out of the womb with a paintbrush or with a guitar or with a pen for writers. And then there are those of us who are okay at what we do in those things. But do you believe that those that aren't born with that it almost is like a supernatural quality as an artist or musician or athlete, do you think that those other people like myself, yourself, and others can achieve that same level of expertise in their field if they practice enough? Or do you think that's just unachievable, like that level?
There are some exceptional geniuses in the world.
Yeah.
Mozart wrote that they wrote these beautiful pieces of music at the age
Right.
of 7 or 6.
Yeah.
I think there are some people that are geniuses, but the rest of us can also we can be creative, and our creation and our writing and our voice is just, it's not, is should be heard. It's valuable. Some time ago, I saw the movie Amadeus. Yes, Salieri wasn't Mozart, but Salieri, if you read about him, he did a lot of good stuff about music. He was teacher. He wrote music theory books. The man did a lot of things in his own right. No, he's not as famous as Mozart, but he probably also felt good about what he did. I think creativity is something that we're all born with.
Right.
And one of the things that happens as a child is that creativity is curtailed. You're told, oh, you're not good in this one, and you're not good in that one. Now, the creativity could manifest itself in different things. My youngest son is wonderful with his hands. He can create beautiful carpentry work. He can do this. He may not be a good writer. I don't know. He hasn't tried his hand on it, although maybe he is. But we are all good in something because creativity is in all of us. So I believe that with spending time and we taking it that seriously, we can definitely achieve something that makes us happy.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. I love hearing different people's creatives' thoughts on that. Now, creativity is a powerful force. How do you believe that tapping into one's creative expression, whether it be through writing, painting, music, whatever it is, other forms, contribute to personal empowerment?
What is empowerment? Just to step back. Empowerment is the power of doing what you think is right, what you think is good. I grew up under a dictatorship in a country that we didn't have open and free speech or anything like that. Express myself in a way that was true to me and true to my beliefs, maybe a little veiled sort of expression. It made me feel empowered. These are little acts of defiance. When young ladies in Iran take off their chador, their hijab, it's a little act of defiance. It's empowerment. It's doing what you think is the right thing to do. So how does creativity adds to that? It's just that you find outlets that you can be empowered and do something good about with that we may not be otherwise possible. So I think that's how creativity and empowerment work with each other. We find something to be defiant about.
Yes,
and hopefully not get killed or something. But
yes. Now, stories have the power to shape perspectives.
Yep.
How do you see storytelling as a means of influencing social narratives and challenging stereotypes, particularly concerning women?
I think that you can't, one of the things that you learn as you write, and we take a couple of courses here and there, is that you can't be a preacher. People don't like to be preached to. And that's part of the problems that sometimes we have with leaders in this country, very good thinkers, but they could only preach. They can't share. So as a writer, you have to bring the story to your reader and then let them decide what is it that they take. I tell the story of Gohar, but I also tell the story of her lover and her husband and everybody else. So I let people, as much as I can, into their world and let them decide what they want to decide. Because at the end of the day, again, it goes back to the spirit of sharing. I don't have all the answers for young startups in, I don't know, fuel technology. But I can ask questions. And I think that's the same thing with the power of imagination and writing story about characters, because this is not my memoirs. It's a story about people who have lived, or not have lived, people that I made them to live, but that's just me. I am a megalomaniac. I'm a little tycoon. But yes, that's how you can only tell the story as much as you can. But at the end of the day, it's the reader who decides.
Yeah, for sure. Can I ask you to hold on just for 1 minute? I just got to run, take care of something. Someone's at the door. I'll be right back, okay?
No,
sorry.
Of course. Yeah, hon. All right, I'll come tomorrow. I'm home then. Okay, bye. Yes. You can get vegetables or you can get soup if you want, but we have everything. Okay, bye-bye.
So sorry about that, Afarin.
It's no worries.
All right.
It's modern life.
Yes. Oh, hang on. Sorry. I lost you there. There we go. In your personal journey, yes, how did you discover the power of your own voice, and what obstacles did you overcome to embrace it?
I'm always a very talkative person. I'm not introvert, but it took a while. It takes a lot. The biggest obstacle that I encountered in this country is the language. Even though I now have lived here for, I don't know, so many years, and I thinking in English and act in English and write in English, and my writing is good, but the language was an obstacle for me, definitely. Now, in the beginning, obviously, the obstacle is just to understand. Then it's communicate in technical terms and communicate with. But or write like a paper for, I don't know, a journal or whatever. But definitely writing prose was difficult, because I can understand, I can see how beautiful some of the prose is written in English is. And obviously, as you pointed it out, we all want to aspire to the great writers.
Yeah.
And that's, that was something that I worked to it. So, and I'm proud of that.
And so you should be, absolutely. We've talked a lot about writing, and you've mentioned the book, so please share with us about the book, what it's all about, what the inspiration was behind writing it, the title, and what was the process like for you sharing your story and putting it out into the world for others to read it?
First of all, the book is called Silenced Whispers. It's about a young Iranian woman at the turn of the last century. And it's about her story, to her struggle against not only tradition, but also foreign colonialism and internal corruption. So she had a lot of obstacles to overcome. Why I wrote this story is that as I said, when I decided to kind of go part-time and have time to write, I wanted to write. And one of the things that I always had questioned to my mind about it, and I wanted to understand it myself first and then communicate it to people, is that what happened in Iran. I grew up in very Western. There's lots of problems back in the 60s and 70s in Iran, but certainly it was not the oppression that it is today. I just wanted to understand what happened. I understand. And then I'd read about it. And then I discovered that the nucleus of the problem not the problem, but the issues started in the early 20th century when Iran became modernized. It didn't have any choice but modernized. And at that time, the modernization came to Iran and it's not unlike other developing countries, right? There's always a tinge of Western, because this is a Western technology. Radio was a Western technology, telephone, telegraph, all of these. So it's a clash of culture, but not the clash of culture that the politicians talk about. It's a clash of cultures within the culture. So a lot of people who were modernized, they wanted modern ideas. Some of these ideas had always been the idea of justice as part of Iranian psyche. But maybe the representative government, maybe going and having a parliament was not. And that's the starting point. But what happened was that, and then the constitutional revolution in the early 20th century happened, and Iran became a constitutional monarchy. But that didn't stop there. And there were a lot of ideas there. They wanted to become republic. They wanted to do this. But then when Reza Shah, the father of the last Shah, came to power, he stopped all the conversations. He said, this is my way, or this is the dictation and a lot of things that he did was good and it bear fruit. But what he didn't do is to foster some more political education. In Iran, you weren't allowed to talk about politics. Politics was a dirt. So intellectuals didn't want to get involved with it. Okay, so maybe they all became like a opposition or whatever. But it's some work within the system. It became, when you stop conversation one way or the other, when you say this is a good example was Iranian women's hijab. 1936, the government says, no more, hijab is bad. No more, you can't go out. My grandmother, who was a religious woman, she was not a bad woman or anything like that. For months, she didn't leave the house because she didn't want to go out and have her chador taken off by a policeman. This is by force rather than saying, hey, let's just do it little by little bit. It didn't happen. The conversation, why chador is good or bad, didn't happen. Then the next regime who came in, opposite, 180 degrees, because the society, even into 60s and 70s, was very divided. If you go to Tehran, I don't know about now because I haven't been there for a while, but it was very different from South. South of Tehran, people were religious. Being religious, not bad, but traditionalists. They wanted their tradition. They wanted their women covered. They wanted their girls not to go all over the place. I knew girls who worked in North Tehran in offices. And when you would see them in the offices, they were modern and short-skirted and whatever. Before they would go home to their parents and family, who were very traditionalists, who were living in the south of Tehran, they would change.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's a transformation. It's metamorphosis. And I saw that. And when I was thinking about it, when you grow up in something, whatever it is, you take it as normal. This is normal. Okay, maybe all countries in the world, half of them live one way and half of the other. But when I thought about that, and this happened long after I was in this country, then I saw that lack of conversation, that lack of a bridge between the two cultures had basically doomed the future. No matter what, a lot of women's movements were very organic. The women really needed protection of law, family law, and working, this, that, the other. But it didn't come about in the right way and communicated the right way. That's unfortunate because it wouldn't happen today. And part of the reason that I wanted to write about that is that what I see today in America, it's a pendulum going X, Y. Our leaders maybe in one thing or the other, but we don't talk about each other. We don't talk about what is important to all of us. We are either X or Y, and that's not how life works.
No, conversation is the catalyst for change. We have to talk about things, whether they're difficult topics or not. You have to talk about them, because if we don't talk about it, we don't bring awareness around it, and nothing can possibly change if we're not talking about it. So conversation is the key. It's the catalyst for change. We have to start having the difficult conversations, no matter how difficult they are. They have to be had.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's how the idea of the book came about. And then somehow one morning I woke up and I had the picture of Gohar in my mind and her story. And she, of course, has a forbidden love because she's married. She had an arranged marriage to somebody who's much older than her in a traditional situation, but she is not in line with her husband. And she obviously falls in love with somebody who is more in line with her ideas. And of course, this is a love story, so we have ups and downs and twists and turns and everything else. And everybody tells me it's a page turner, so I try to make
There you go.
It's fun. But and this conflict that tears apart people, tears apart everybody. And it isn't, and I am a technologist. I can see that some of the things that I have advocated for, including smartphone, it can become very intrusive, can be very bad. And approaching technology with view to make life better, not just make money for X, Y, or Z, is, again, has to happen as well. It has to happen. Again, as you said it has to happen through conversation.
Yeah.
It's a societal change. As it was with different kinds of set of technology, different kinds of circumstances in another country, but we can learn a little bit about that. And again, I tried to be a journalist. I took people, my readers, to back that age. Okay, now you're there. Now you see the world from standpoint of these people, and how you think about that it determines the future. So I just wanted that also to tell that. And why is it a story versus a nonfiction? It's because this is a fun thing to do. So this is a fun thing to read. It's I didn't write 250 pages of history, and this guy did. Yeah, it's a story. Have fun.
Yeah,
that was my motivation to write this.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was it like before you learned that? And what was your life like after learning it?
I don't know. I think that you always go through situations where you're not happy. You didn't get the job you wanted. You didn't buy the place that you want. Whatever it is, there are always setbacks. And I have had many. I have had my set of setbacks and my set of situations before. I think the thing that I learned, and it's a very gradual learning process, is that sometimes you just have to let yourself be miserable. But you don't have to be miserable forever.
Right.
Being miserable has a certain expiration date. We don't know what that is, but certainly it is. You will laugh again.
Yes, for sure.
So that's what I learned in my life.
Yeah. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
The two things are: I have happy genes. I know that I will laugh again. But I think it's also the fact that I have empathy with people. If somebody is thinking very differently from me, I can see the standpoint. I can see the side of the story. I'm a perfect Libra. I can always argue against myself and win. So that's my secret power.
Okay. Speaking of success, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
Success means to be happy with yourself. Again, the definition of success changes over the lifetime. At this point in my life, I think success is to be happy with myself. I'm happy that I wrote this book. I'm happy that it's won a few prizes or whatever. I'm happy that my children are proud of the book. So that's success. Yeah, do I want to win I don't know, do I want to get a phone call from Netflix about me serializing my book? Yeah, by all means. That
Nice.
would be lovely. That would be
Hmm.
lovely. And I'm so doing what you want to do at the moment and be content with what you have done. I think that's success.
Beautiful. What does the word empowerment mean to you? How do you define that word?
Just standing for what you believe in, the
Mm.
ability to do that. And you can be empowered as I don't know, as somebody who has no power and no standing. You can be, I don't know, a janitor in some
Hmm.
school or whatever and be empowered because you can say whatever you want to say. And I think it's, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to jump into a little rapid fire section here. So
Sure,
the next grouping of questions just
sure.
be 1, 2, 3 word answer type
Yeah,
thing. Okay.
of course.
What is your personal motto?
Live for today.
Love it. If you're writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
I lived the life that everybody dreams about. I never wanted to become a tycoon. So the fact that I'm not Jeff Bezos doesn't bother me.
How would you describe yourself in one word?
I'm curious. In Farsi, we say fuzul. I have to know.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Think deep, if you can, as much as you can.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
I have empathy for people. I think that's what I love about myself.
Yeah. What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
Love of my children. And
Mm.
I have that, and I am so proud of that. And that's not because I buy them everything, or did, but they're great people. And that's, to me, is great.
Beautiful. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I threw in a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time. So if you could take one feeling or one belief and bottle it up and give it to people, what would it be?
Hope, hope, hope.
That's a beautiful one. I love that.
It's what we live for.
Yeah, absolutely. Afarin.
Tomorrow we're going to have another sunny day. So
Yes.
sunny day.
Yeah. Afarin, what is your why?
I'm here. Why I was born in Iran and why I'm here, why I'm in America, why I'm here. That's why. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
You asked a lot of good questions.
Thank you. I received that. I take that.
Yes. So maybe you want to ask what next?
Okay. What's next?
What's next? I'm writing more. I'm writing
Beautiful.
another book. I'm writing the sequel to this book, and I'm writing a book about, believe it or not, two women who escaped from Iran and tried to get to the United States.
Wow. So you're working on 2 books?
Well, okay, this is the thing. The sequel is written. So there are 2
okay.
stages.
Okay.
So the sequel is written.
Okay.
My editor and myself are working on that. And
Right.
we're trying to find a bigger publisher to publish, hopefully.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. But the book is in the infancy.
Excellent.
So I've started to do some research on that. So that's another thing that's what I learned from other writers, that the way to get over the blocks also is to stagger your writing project.
Okay.
So
beautiful. Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you.
If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Alive, dead?
Either or, whatever you want.
I think that the woman that I am most curious about, who's passed away, of course, is Indira Gandhi. And the reason is that she was a very transformational person, especially in a very traditional society like India. And she, of course, grew up with a father, and she saw the world changing. And she was a person who also changed them.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Hang in there.
That's a good one. Yes. Lastly, Afarin, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
That we are all the same in heart. The color of skin, the color of the hair, our height, weight, doesn't matter. And In the end, we are all the same. We have a little tiny planet. We have to live together, living together. Find a way to live together. Find a way to keep this planet from becoming, I don't know, a death trap or something.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Please.
Beautiful. Afarin, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today and for sharing a little bit about your story, your journey, and the beautiful light you put out into the world through all the work you do and all the people you help. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Could you please share with the people where they can connect with you or find you if they want to learn more about you?
Absolutely. I write a newsletter on Substack. They can look at for me there. They can look at the website for the book called Silenced Whispers, www.silencedwhispers.com. And I have a website, afarin.net. And my email is afarin@transstrategy.com. So please subscribe to the newsletter on Substack. Please read the book if you want to. It's a fun book. That's
Beautiful.
right. Two words of, marketing, if you will. And thank you for being here. I have had a few. I hope that to have more on my family and friends in Canada, and I love it. And it's a beautiful country.
Thank you. I'll put all the information where people can connect with you, where they can get the book, all of that stuff in the show notes when I publish your episode. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure. I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to sit down and chat with you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure all the way. Thank you so much for hosting me. And hope to talk to you again.
Yes. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Afarin Bellisario. She is an author, a teacher, a mentor, a consultant, and an engineer. Thank you so much, Afarin. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.